Hey YouTube, it's me, Emily, and tonight I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I know I've been posting a lot of vlogs lately, and it's mainly because I finally got my daughter to sleep in her bed. Yay, crib! Hence the monitor right there behind me. But anyways, this is gonna be a story about how I found out I was pregnant. So let me just start out with the basics. And what I mean by that is I had a video about a year ago explaining that I found out I was pregnant when I was at basic training and then got sent home from it. I didn't really go into details. Well, I'm ready to go into details about it. So, here we go. Real quick. Kind of. So, I was on birth control pills when I was in high school. I started my junior year with them, taking them between the summer between my junior and senior year. Not junior, senior. Sophomore and junior year. There we go. Brain's working. I take them the same time every day. Summer months, I kind of had the same schedule, but I was still trying to take them at the same time every day. I'd miss one or two during the summertime, but at the time I didn't have anyone that was dating, so I was like, not too concerned about it. It threw off my cycle a bit. So my periods were kind of erratic. But then once I got into senior year, I was taking them every single day at the same time. I'd wake up for school, take it, and forget about it. And so come time when we graduated, when we were done with all of our classes and everything, I wasn't going to school. I was waking up at whatever time. I was going to bed at whatever time, 18-year-old, don't really have much to do. Not have much to do, but killing time until I went to basic training. I'd get up, I'd work out, whatever. Completely forgot about my pills. Not on purpose, just kind of happened. And so I ended up missing a few, not on purpose, like I said. And it came to, I had to get a refill before I left for basic because I had no refills left on it. And to be able to get it filled so I could keep taking them when I was at basic training, I had to have the prescription with me. And so I went into my doctor and they were mad at me because I wasn't able to actually get checked or anything to see if I was pregnant or whatnot. And they just prescribed me the pills. Okay. And because I was in the National Guard, usually you go to MEPS before you leave for basic. Well, since I already went to MEPS for all my medical training, it was just a matter of me getting there and shipping off. And then usually they'll have you do a pregnancy test before you leave, but there's no real concern for me because I was usually taking my pill and everything. It didn't even pop in my mind that I could possibly end up being pregnant. And so what ended up happening was I got to basic on July 3rd at midnight. I got to Fort Jackson a little after midnight, and then did my night issue, got 3 hours of sleep, woke up. During this time, I was supposed to have my period that week, but I thought with the stress of everything, my period was just off. I still hadn't started. On the 3rd, I also got my blood drawn. And so I found out, well, not found out, but I got my blood drawn and everything. And then the second day, you're supposed to do shots and stuff like that. Well, it was July 4th. Nothing's open on 4th of July. Okay. So the 5th was when we actually went in to go get our shots done. And me and this other girl, I'm just going to call her Rocket because I can't remember her actual name, but we called her Rocket. And she also got called out where she was concerned. She thought she had cancer. My first thought was, am I pregnant? Her first thought was, do I have cancer? Okay. 2 different thoughts, I guess. And so they told us to go to med clinic. Well, it was Saturday. And, well, the med clinic's not open on Saturdays. So, we wait till Monday. Excuse me. You're on. And we go into the med clinic. We finally try to get everything checked. And they're like, they looked on the computer. They don't even check to see what our blood work stuff was about. We're like, something's wrong with our blood work. We're not sure what it is, but they said there was something wrong with our blood work. They didn't even check to see if there's a memo or anything about why our blood work was wrong. They just kind of looking at our blood type. They're like, I don't see anything wrong with it. You guys are good to go. Okay. So I started kind of freaking out because at that point I didn't have my boots because they ran out of my size of boots. And it wasn't just me, it was like 3 other girls. Not 3, like 5 other women. Not girls, women. We're women. I mean females. There we go. Military talk. Females. And it was me and like 5 other ones. We didn't have our shoes. And so I started freaking out because I thought they were going to ship me off. I wasn't going to have my shoes. I wasn't going to have my shorts or anything because they were shipping out the next day. So I have a panic attack. I then have to go get a psych eval done. I was just freaking out. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? I don't know why I'm so emotional. Am I going to start my period? Is this why? But I still hadn't had my period yet, which at that point it was about a week late. So I was really starting to freak out. I'm like, kind of thing. And so fast forward a bit, Rocket, she ends up going and with another group to go get her, to try to get her shots. And she comes back crying, and mind you, in the military we go by our last names. And so she's like, I have to go get, I didn't overhear all of it, but all I know is she was crying. She said, Ellis is probably the same as me. Like, I'm the only Ellis here, so what's going on? And then the drill sergeant, female drill sergeant at the time, yelled for me to come over, and me and my battle buddy walk over, and we're like, and I'm like, yes, drill sergeant, and she's like, you and Brock are going to go to the hospital. Okay, you're gonna have to get your blood drawn. Oh, okay. And so we're walking there, and you're not really supposed to talk when you're walking, but she was like crying and everything. Like, what's going on? Because I was at this point really clueless. She turns around, and she looks at me. She's like, I'm probably pregnant, and so are you. And I'm like, the fuck? What? But oh, okay. So we go to the VA. And we get our blood drawn. We come back. We eat lunch because it was lunchtime. And then we go back to the barracks and just wait because they say it would take a couple hours. And during this time, I start kind of thinking, like, okay, what would I do? Would I keep before adopt? For me, I'm pro-life for myself, pro-choice for other people. I don't think I could ever have an abortion. Just my own personal feeling. But I'm pro-choice for anyone else because it's their body and their decision. If they want to do that, they can. But for me, I'm pro-life. I couldn't see myself. I could not do that. So for me, it was, okay, adoption or keep. Don't know why my finger's out. And I'm like, I don't know if I could give up my kid. If I'm pregnant, I just didn't know. So then we go to, finally after killing that time and those agonizing times of I'm freaking out, which I had messaged one of my friends saying, hey, I might need you to go get a hold of the guy I was with at the time, my ex. And I'm like, you might want to go wake him up, make sure he's awake, because I might have something to tell him. It's like, okay, if you need me to, I'll go over to his house, because at the time my ex didn't have a phone, and I didn't have his home phone because he was staying with his parents. He hadn't gotten me that information yet. And so, anyways, we go to the med clinic, and they take us back, do blood pressure and all that normal stuff, and then they take her back first, and she comes out, and she's like, I'm pregnant, and I'm due on this day, and she's like, it's gonna be okay. And she's like, I don't know about you, but I'm gonna be okay. And it's like, okay, thank you. And so she waits for me, and I go back. And so I sit down, start talking with the doctor about normal stuff. And so he's like, so, have you ever been pregnant before? And me, I'm like, no, I have not. I was 18, fresh out of high school. No kids in my record. Of course I haven't been pregnant before. Not going to say that to him. I wasn't going to say that to him, but of course I hadn't been pregnant before. His response to me was, well, you are now. Okay, that's a perfect way to tell to tell an 18-year-old thousands of miles away from home that she's pregnant and didn't know it. Thank you. And then he proceeds to tell me the wrong due date for my child, which was, I think I confused him when I told him when my period was supposed to start, and then instead of when my last period was, because I wasn't quite sure when my last period was. Honestly, I didn't know what day it was at that point, because days had kind of blended together, and I didn't even know what the date was. I'd been there for a while. And so he gave me the information, gave me the prescription, get prenatals. Me and the other girl had to go back to the hospital to get our prescriptions filled. That was scary. Just scary. And so on and so forth. We finish up with that. We get back to the barracks. At this point, well, backtrack a bit. I was supposed to go for a psych eval later that day. So after I was done finding out I was pregnant, I walked over there and I'm like, I need to cancel my psych eval. And they're like, why? I'm like, I'm already a no-ship. And they're like, why? I'm pregnant. Like, are you sure you don't need to talk to someone? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I ended up having a panic attack because I was pregnant and didn't know it and had a hormonal issue. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I found out I was pregnant. Back to what I was saying earlier, we went and got our prenatals, and then I had to call and tell my parents. I didn't actually tell my dad. My mom told my dad for me, luckily. And, and so I called my mom. She was at a hair appointment, and I'm like, hey, I have some news for you. And she's like, what? I'm like, I'm pregnant. She was pissed. She was so mad at me at that time. Just didn't want to talk to me at that point. So we get off the phone, and I'm like, I have to tell the father of my child that he's going to be a father. So I call my friend. I'm like, hey, can you please get my ex on the phone? He wasn't my ex at the time. Can you please get my boyfriend on the phone? He was my boyfriend at the time, so, can you get him on the phone for me, please? I need to talk to him. I have something very important to tell him. He's like, yeah, sure, which he kind of figured at this point that I was pregnant. Just, he's a good friend. I didn't really care. He knew not to tell anyone until me and my boyfriend at the time made a decision on what we were going to do. And so he called me. He's like, hey, here he is. Like, okay. And he's like, and my ex at the time, he's like, hello? Like, half awake. Like, he had just woken up. He sounded pissed off because I woke him up. I'm like, hey, I have some news for you. He's like, what? What's so important? I'm like, I'm pregnant. Goes from that voice to, are you sure? Yeah. Yes, I'm sure. I just got a blood test done. In my head, I was thinking, yeah, I'm sure my period's is over a week late at this point, almost 2 weeks late, and I just got told by a doctor that I'm pregnant. I'm pretty sure I'm pregnant. And then he got really silent on the phone, like, well, we're gonna have to talk about this when you get a chance. Text me on, because he had a free messenger app he could text me from. And I'm like, text me or Facebook me and we'll talk about this, or call me back on your parents' phone. And you can just try to message me first so I know. And at the time, his sister just found out she was pregnant too. So yeah, that was fun. But he wasn't too excited at the first part. And then I didn't actually tell any of my other friends until I was about 12 weeks along. And the reason behind that is I wanted to have a sonogram, because unlike other people who will take a pregnancy test and post a picture of their pregnancy test, I didn't actually get the experience of, taking a pregnancy test where you pee on it to see if it's positive or not. And so, I thought if I could get a picture of it or something, that'd be better. Or if I could hear the heartbeat, make sure the baby's okay before actually posting anything about it. So it was about 12 weeks long and finally posted about it. His sister was ecstatic because me and her were pregnant at the same time. That was interesting. And so, yeah, that's my story on how I found out I was pregnant. But honestly, the moment I found out, I knew I was going to keep it. I didn't know what I was having, but I had bought notebook paper and pencils and stuff to write notes home to people, and I didn't end up doing it because obviously I got sent home, but I knew I was going to use it, so I started just kind of writing things down. I wrote a couple letters to Amelia before I even knew she was Amelia. I didn't say her name, I just said to my baby, to my future child. I wrote a few things down. And then I had on one page written down some names I was thinking of, and the name Amelia Rose just kind of stuck. Like, I was kind of calling her that before I even knew if I was having a boy or girl, but I kind of knew. And so, sorry, I kind of been, it's really late when I'm doing this vlog. I'm sorry. And so, I knew it was going to be a girl, but I didn't say anything. I was just calling her my little bear, because sonogram picture, she looked like a little teddy bear. It was really, really cute, actually. And so when I found out I was actually having a girl, that was the best. But that's kind of my story about how I found out I was pregnant. I know, not typical for most people, but I'm going to wrap this up because it's almost 20 minutes long. I'm sorry if it's a long story, but it's something I wanted to tell. So with that, I give you a good night, good evening, good evening time of the day, and what you're watching this. You guys are beautiful, awesome, amazing. If you're a mom, I'm with you. You can do this. And don't forget you can. And with that, I bid you guys a farewell.